Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are today Thursday, September 18, 2020. I want to welcome all of you for tuning in to the channel. And I also want to thank all of you who have already supported this series by donating through our PayPal link below. So as the title suggests, for today we are going to be talking about the 41st President of the Republic of Haiti, Michel Joseph Martelly. As already we have been doing it, I'll read for you a little bit of the notes that I have gathered through Wikipedia and a couple of other links. And then afterwards, I will come in and I will give you my own thoughts and opinion. I have my notes right in front of me, so this is how I am going to focus a little bit on the note and then we're gonna go for it. So let's begin. Born on February 12, 1961, Michel Martelly is a Haitian singer and former politician who served as the 41st President of Haiti from May 2011 until February 2016. Now let's go into his background. Martelly is from the south of Haiti, more precisely Côte d'Ivoire, located in the southeast of Haiti. He is the son of Gérald Martelly, a Shell oil executive, and Marie-Madeleine de Pradine. On his mother's side, his grandfather, Auguste de Pradine, was a troubadour who wrote comic protest songs against the U.S. occupation in Haiti from 1915 till 1934. Martelly attended the Catholic institution of Saint-Louis de Gonzague. After graduation, he enlisted in the Haitian Army and the Haitian Military Academy. However, he was expelled. In 1984, he moved to the USA and worked in construction while briefly attended a community college in Florida, Miami. In 1986, Michel Martelly divorced his first wife and returned to Haiti just as Jean-Claude Duvalier was headed into exile. In 1987, Martelly returned to Miami with his then girlfriend, Sophia Saint-Remy, whom he later married. They both returned to Haiti in 1988. Now we are going into his musical career. Michel Martelly had his first breakthrough in the music industry as a fill-in musician, playing in the location of Kiskoff and Pétionville, located in the high mountaintops of Port-au-Prince, Haiti. In 1988, Martelly's musical talent had gained tremendous popularity. He recorded his first single, Ooh La La, the same year, which became an instant hit, followed by Compas Forêt des Pins in 1989, also from his debut album, Ooh La La. During 1988 and 2008, Martelly recorded 14 studio albums and a number of live CDs. In 1997, he is featured in the track Wyclef Jean Presents The Carnival featuring The Refugee. The same year, Martelly released another album containing Haitian hit song Pas Moyen. Now let's go a little bit into his political career. In 1992, Michel Martelly and Ty Lavalas decided to play for free against the arrival of the UN representative charged with negotiating the return of the then president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide. In February 1995, a hit list is circulated with the names of people associated with the assassination of former military officers, paramilitaries, and secret police officers. Martelly's name is listed. Sophia Martelly warns him that such a list exists and counsels him to lay low and not to return yet to Haiti. By 1997, Martelly participated in The Knowledge is Power, an HIV educational music video with a message about preventing the spread of HIV. His humanitarian work as the president of the Fondation Rose et Blanc, a foundation created by his wife Sophia and himself to help poor and disenfranchised as the Goodwill Haitian, to help poor and disenfranchised of the country, was the basis for his choice as the Goodwill Haitian ambassador for the protection of the environment by the Haitian government. In 2004, Gérard Latortue, a close friend of Martelly, becomes prime minister. In 2007, Martelly moves back to Haiti. He defaulted more than $1 million in loans, losing 3 properties to foreclosure in Miami. Martelly ran for the presidency of the Haiti following the January 12, 2010 earthquake. He benefited from his celebrity status holding musical political endorsement rallies called Coup Jai, drawing crowds and media attention. Martelly benefited from the support of Bill and Hillary Clinton. On February 3, 2011, he participated in a runoff election scheduled for March 20, 2011. On April 4, 2011, a senior official announced that Martelly had won the presidential runoff election against candidate Merlin Manigat with more than 60% of the vote. Let's analyze the presidency. On May 14, 2011, Michel Joseph Martelly was sworn in as the President of the Republic of Haiti. In August 2011, Martelly announced a plan to reinstate the nation's military. In September 2011, Martelly formed an advisory board that included business executives, bankers, and politicians such as former U.S. President Bill Clinton. In February 2012, Gary Coney, the then Prime Minister, resigned after having been in office for 5 months. He is replaced by Laurent Lamotte, Haitian Foreign Minister. Between March and April 2012, Martelly was accused of corruption with allegations that during and after the 2010 earthquake and presidential election, he had accepted $2.6 million in bribes to ensure that the Dominican Republic construction company would continue to receive contracts under his presidency. Martelly denied these allegations. In October 2013, Martelly met with a Franco-Polish arms dealer, Pierre Daclac, and 2 Canadian businessmen to discuss a $20 billion plan to develop Lavalas, a plan which failed miserably. In November 2013, anti-government protests are held in the country over the high cost of living and corruption. On December 14, 2014, Haitian Prime Minister Laurent Lamotte resigned and is replaced by Yves Paul. On January 13, 2015, the parliament is dissolved, and 4 days later, thousands of protesters in Port-au-Prince demands the president's resignation. On August 9th, 2015, the first election under President Martelly takes place. First round of the presidential elections are held on October 25th, 2015, along with local, and second round of the legislative elections. According to the preliminary result, Jovenel Moïse obtained 32.81% of the preferences, while Jude Celestin won 25.21%. Celestin contested these results by denouncing fraud and qualifying the elections as anti-democratic. Michel Martelly declared his support for the candidate of Jovenel Moïse. Martelly resigned the presidency on February 10, 2016, leaving Haiti without a president for a week. On February 17, 2016, he is succeeded by Jocelyn Privé, who served as the interim president until February 7, 2017. Now, ladies and gentlemen, these were the facts that you can double check. I took everything online from Wikipedia. Most of these information, I got it straight from Wikipedia. Now, we are going to dive in a little bit, and I am going to freestyle this. Because we started up the series with me bringing in a little bit of the facts, I didn't really want to come and just give my own personal thoughts and my personal opinion regarding the government of President Martelly. I remember these events because I lived through all of his presidential election, from him running all the way to when the Prime Minister Laurent Lamont resigned. Then I left Haiti in that summer. So I wasn't here when the semi-chaos happened and he was unable to do the elections. You know, the first thing that I'm going to say, having gone into the in-depths of the end of Martelly, because I remembered, it was not the best, but it was not the worst in terms of political instability really in the country. I'm gonna go back to, a couple of things that to me were a little bit kind of off when he came in. But I, having been here and lived through his, presidential term, I have to agree that it was somewhat calm. I'm not so sure if it's because he had the aptitude to make sure that, dealing with these people in power, he knew how to maneuver, but we didn't really have a lot of chaos. He managed to do the carnival, the festivities of Haiti. He managed to have carnival in February and also in the end. The country seemed to be in a period of calm until the end of his term, really. And to me, that led me to believe that Haiti has really never been a country thus far that has a true democracy. We're not going to fool ourselves. It's not. Because all of these presidents, they have not been successfully able to go and elect the next president. And I don't even doubt myself that the current president is going to be able to do that. They are currently and presently having all type of things on his neck. So I know for a fact that I highly doubt that he's going to be able to do the next election. But let's continue with Martelly. Now, I remembered when Martelly posted his candidacy. I was in Canada around that time. And, the funny thing with it is that a lot of people took it as a joke. Guess who's laughing now? All the way to the bank. A lot of people took it as a joke. A lot of people felt because Michel Martelly, as a singer, Sweet Mickey, he has this tendency of always using humor. And it's so funny because when we go into his past, we see that his grandfather used humor as well to have songs. And it's funny how people are not understanding that you must always remember the people that you deal with. At the end of the day, he is a musician. So he used his best card to win the election, right? I remembered when he launched his candidacy and he said it was all the way at the end. He was the last person. He was the last person to present himself as a candidate for that presidential election, and it was an uproar of laughter. Everybody felt like, oh my God, look at this, like. And the funny thing is, like, they didn't stop him. You know, he had everything was in place, all his paper was in place. They were like, okay. I don't believe that. I think it's called CEP. All right, I'll look for the definition. I think it's called CEP. Nobody really believed, not even that Martelly was going to be winning, but nobody believed that he was doing this for the truth. Many people thought that he went, and many people thought that he was doing it as a mockery to the other candidacy or to the country in general. But, ladies and gentlemen, I watched an interview by Michel. Michel is a Haitian American singer from the group the Fugees. And Michel, if you watch that interview shows you that Michel Martelly prepared his candidacy way in advance. And after watching this interview, I went back to one of his songs called Bandit Legal, and I paid a lot of attention into the wordings, and I realized that he always had that planned. And I'm going to assume that the idea came to him when Aristide came into power. Because if you really think about it, I'm going to do a little bit of an analysis. President Obama went into power, and the current president of the United States, Donald Trump, was against. It was more than against him. It was kind of like Donald Trump was looking at President Obama like, you should not even be there. Like, you cannot do the job. And what did he do next? He did the next best thing. He ran for office. So I feel like it's the same thing, because you guys know that Martelly had always been an anti-Lavalas person. So the next best thing for him to do, because remember how we went into the fact that ISIS started to have major problems with him, because ISIS started to dab into some, kind of like loose activities, right? So to me, in my opinion, I feel like this is when Martelly probably started to think about the fact that I too can run for presidency. Well, most people thought that he was just doing it for the one. That is not the truth. Martelly had the support of the Fugees. Now, through the notes that we're realizing, we also are realizing that he also had the support of the Clintons, which is really, really interesting, right? So let's go back into my memories and let me think about, what happened. When, the thing with the presidential of Martelly, a lot of people, and, Martelly, what did he do that was so concrete, and was he able to maneuver with the people? The very first thing that I'm going to say is that he sold the country. Because as we can see from the notes, he dealt with the Clintons, and the Clintons, they never have anything good when it comes to Haiti. So for you to have the support of such people, that means that you had to give something in return. And if my memory is very, very correct, right? Martelly has a lot of things that they dangled in front of him. So around the time that he was a president, there was a lot of things that he was not able to do because of his past activities. So even when he still presents himself as someone who is extremely confident into his position, as someone that nobody can touch, he knows that he needs to sit tight, because these people have too many things against him from his past. He knows that at any given time, they can have anything on him that would be the truth and have him incarcerated. So let's not fool ourselves. Now, the thing that I wasn't aware of, I knew that Bill Clinton had a lot of contract here in Haiti around that time, because let's not forget that he came in office in 2011. That was when a lot of the fundings for the earthquake were open, because Prior to him, it was Winnie Preval who was there. Preval had signed this contract, but the money was not given under the government of Winnie Preval. So this money, Martelly had this money, was the government of Martelly. I'm not too sure. It was probably Martelly Lamotte, not necessarily Coney, because he only stayed for 5 months. So that's when these money started to come. And these people, I remember Lavalas. I remember the whole like scandal that was behind Lavalas. The Minister of Tourism at the time, I believe her name was Stephanie Vildouin, if I'm not mistaken. You know, she did a somewhat of a good job in Haiti. You know, she appeared to be like someone who knew what she was doing. However, the whole Lavalas was a big fiasco. You know, Lavalas is an isle located, it's a beautiful isle located here in Haiti. And they had a project and they wanted to develop Lavalas. They went there. But I remember the peasant coming in and saying that they did not agree with the terms and conditions of that particular project, because it appeared to be the way that the peasants were talking. It appeared to be that the Minister of Tourism wanted them to sell their lands. And you guys understand from me speaking to you about the people of Haiti, when it comes to land dealing, they are not going to give you their land like that. So I feel like there was a lot of mismanagement behind that. That is why this entire project crumbled. I feel like, because this is the thing with investing and bringing investors in, right? Such as myself, who sits here and tell you guys to come to invest. Now, let's say that I get a deal in front of me, that I get a contract sitting in front of me. This is not the time for me to run off like a chicken with my head cut off as if I don't know what I'm doing. When you have the contract that is in front of you and you present yourself as an expert of your field, that you know what you're doing, that person is ready to make move. Everything needs to be on the dot. So in my personal opinions, I believe that the negotiation with the Haitian people were not done properly. That's why this project failed miserably. I believe that the Prime Minister did not have the capacity to negotiate in favor of the peasant. That's why it did not come through, right? So it's all about negotiating skills, what you have going on. Because the thing with a lot of people, this is why I'm saying, you don't come to a particular town, you don't go to a particular place, and just because these people are living a certain type of lifestyle, that you assume that they are not living the best lifestyle. And here you are with all these grand ideas that you want to do for them. But at the end of the day, these people are looking at you and your ideas like, it's not beneficial for us. That's the truth. To me, when it comes to negotiating and bringing people in, you have to make sure that the people that you quote unquote want to help or support, that they are fully on board with the things that you want to do. So this is the whole thing with the Lavalas. This is my personal opinion and personal perspective. Now, a lot of people, you know, when it comes to Martelly and when it comes to this whole candidacy, if I have to go, I don't have anything good to say about it. I don't have anything so terrible to say about it. Now, what type of a president, in my opinion, was he? The first thing is that the person who came in power was not the same person who left power. Martelly, if you watch this, you can comment. Martelly came into power with the full arrogance that we know him of, with the full because when it comes to priests, when it comes to singers, anybody who had like a top position of power and who, you know, kind of like executed, which, you know, he was a singer, he had a band, but he directed. So a lot of times you always feel like everybody has to obey by you. And from the jump, Martelly had a lot of like people who were against him. I believe there's this guy, he's like, I think he's a senator, he's everywhere. His name is Michel. Oh my God, he's something else. Okay, he's something else. But he was really, there was a lot of vindictive against Martelly when he came, which is understandable. The very first thing, I believe, the very first scandals was that they said that he was not a Haitian. Martelly is a Haitian citizen. He was born in Haiti. However, I believe that he naturalized himself, and he has an American citizenship passport as a person who's naturalized. But, you know, he probably renounced to that so that he became the president of Haiti. However, these people really went into it and the U.S. ambassador at that time had to come in and had to state that Martelly had renounced to his citizenship in order to become. Now, whether it is the truth or not, I don't know. You know how these guys are. So that was like a big scandal, and I believe that in the beginning he had a hard time, adjusting to how these people were. We're talking about the parliament. He probably felt like it was going to be an easy task, but they gave him, like, he was under a lot of hot seat. Sorry. What is the next thing that I can say about it? Because now I'm going into my memories and I'm trying to, so for me, I feel that, a lot of people criticize him. A lot of people felt like, okay, he didn't do anything. When it comes to the whole education and some of the programs that Martelly put into place, they are all garbage, like all garbage. Okay, they are garbage. And I'm going to put it in the, how do I say that? Like, I feel like they are all garbage because this is not his lane of work, not necessarily. Because when it comes to education, maybe he did not have the right people, the right team. Because when it came to the tourism industry, he did a pretty good job with that, right? But when it came to health, I don't believe they did much when it came to health. When it came to education, he didn't do that. And when it comes to economy, I don't believe that they did much. Because if you remember, the goods started to go a lot up at the end of his term, so he was not able to balance these things around. So I'm going to put it under the fact that the people who were surrounding him did not do their jobs. Because as a team, when you come in, and that's where I'm going to go, and when it comes to the presidency and when you are building your team, right? Not only is it that this is your area of expertise, this is your strength. Former President Jobiata, I said his strength was in the education. So, if it weren't for the fact that, these people went against him, he would have probably successfully made a lot of changes, right? Martelly's strength was in the musical industry, was in, tourism. So he was able to, make sure that during his term, the country somewhat had, we had activities to do, really, it was, and he introduced Haiti to the concept of having the carnival in every city. Now, there is a video that I made about, oh my God, I can't remember the full term of the video, but I made a video regarding if the Haitian carnival was bringing enough income, because I remembered around the time I worked, and one of the projects that I gave to my students were to compare they had to pick between the countries of Brazil, countries where carnival bring a lot of foreign people. And I wanted to know if Haiti was bringing in these income. And guess what? Haiti does not bring this income. So I never really did like an assessment to go into it. But the fun thing would be, for anybody who would be interested, would be like, well, Martelly came in with a new concept for Haiti, and every town during his presidential term, had a carnival. The first one, I think they did it in Lake Kai. They did one in Gonaïve. I think they did one in Cap-Haïtien as well. So, but the thing with it is, did it bring enough income to fuel the country? Or did more money go out? Because they were pretty lavish carnivals. But was Haiti able to make the profit from these carnivals? That would be something very interesting to look into. Now, the other thing that I'm going to go into it, and this is only for my own personal opinion. The thing with the presidency of Michel Martelly is that Michel Martelly was surrounded with a lot of, we're going to say, louche people, right? Because let's not forget that in the past, he dabbled into a lot of illicit activities. And I am wondering if these people that he had in his surrounding, did it cripple his presidency one way or the other? Probably they did. Okay, probably they did. The next thing that I'm going to wonder, why is it that he actually, you know what, let me take this back, because I was going to say, well, why did he invite the Clintons? But let's not forget, this is the thing, they probably had a lot on him. And he probably couldn't do much with the fact that they wanted in on that 2010 earthquake money. They probably came to him like, okay, you want to be the president of Haiti? We don't have a problem. You're going to be the president of Haiti. Now, this is how things are going to go. You'll be the president and you'll make some money, but guess what? We want the contract, right? So we're going to have that, I think it was Bill or Hillary's brother who had like a significant amount of contract deal here in Haiti, right? And I am going to say that Martelly probably didn't have a say on it based on the fact that these people probably had enough information about him to lock him like this in a heartbeat in the United States, not here in Haiti. So he had to move along and do these things with them, right? Concerning like there's not much that I can say regarding his presidency, regarding like, because now I'm going into my memories, I'm going into like, a lot of things came out. A lot of money laundering came out on his presidency. A lot of frauds, a lot of, because let's not forget that. I remember I mentioned to you that the 2010 earthquake money started to come through his governance, and a lot of these money, a lot of the projects, there was supposedly a bridge. I believe that they said that this bridge was $5 million, and if I get to find a copy or a picture of this bridge, I'll put it out to you. So it's a lot of like frauds that happened, and Martelly left Haiti and Haiti went sink, and right, so he left Haiti and Haiti went deeper and deeper into the hole. And I also believe that from Préval all the way to like Jovenel, maybe a little bit before Préval, so his government also touched on the money of the Petro-Caribbean. Now, when it comes to the money of the Petro-Caribbean, I believe that, now I don't really listen to the news, you guys know that, but I believe that he came out and, they were questioning him. The journalists would say, well, what do you say about the fact that, the Petro challengers are saying that they wanted, he said, listen, you know what, everybody want to see where the money is. Me, I also want to see where that money went. So I am going to assume that he knew that, these people were doing any and everything with the money. Did he touch on the money? I'll let you answer that. So he probably sure, like, so that's why he's sitting confidently and he's saying, yeah, like, I actually would love for the report to come out, because he's probably looking at these other people like, oh really, you guys want to put everything on my back, like I'm that monkey, but I know the dirt that you have been doing as well. So I don't have a problem. I know what I've done. Let's put the report out of the Petro-Caribbean and let's see whose name come out. So ladies and gentlemen, this is what I have to say. I know that I don't have too much to say for his presidency. It's just because, there is very little I can say, because I can't, we have to be very fair. I can't sit here and say that the country was bad. It wasn't so bad, actually. It wasn't the best. But there was a somewhat stability in the country. There was no stability at the end, which was very, very interesting. And remember how I told you that the man who came into office is not the man who left office. By the time that Martelly was probably in his third years, he was a different man. He was a lot softer. He was a lot, I guess that certain position mature you. It matures you a lot. He was a lot softer in the way that, in his approach. When he first came into office, not only was he arrogant, but it was every other day he was threatening to leave the country. The head of the state, every other day. And I do remember that there was a time where they said that he left Haiti incognito to go play in Florida. And I was laughing my ass off, because I knew that at the heart, what he is truly is a singer. Right, he is a singer with his freedom. So I'm probably certain that being the president of Haiti gave him a lot to think about. It also probably showed him how people truly are. Yeah, so I was telling you that it probably showed him how people truly are, because if we go back to the documentary that I spoke to you about regarding the Fuji supporting him, Praz went alone and said that, Martelly came to them and told them being Wyclef Jean and Praz Michel, Martelly went to them and said to them, hey, you know what, I have an idea and I want to become the president of Haiti and I would love for your support. Praz said that they both, meaning Wyclef and him, wanted to support Martelly, but guess what? At the end, guess who decided to want in? It was Wyclef Jean himself, who decided that he was going to put in his candidacy in order to become the president of Haiti. But what happened? What happened is that Wyclef, though he is a Haitian, citizen guy, in order for you, you need to have 5 years straight of being in Haiti in order for you to, post your kind of candidacy. And I remember when Wyclef decided to bring his candidacy, I looked at him sideways like, you dirty MF, like, really? Really? So I'm probably sure that was kind of like a shocker for Martelly, and and the other thing, if I have to go into my memory, see, this is why, it's life. It's really life. Wyclef probably started to look at the money flow. It probably was like a jealousy and envious thing, or maybe kind of like, okay, if you two can go, then I too can go. So that was probably a stab in the back for Martelly. But he handled that pretty well, because at the end, when it was all the way in the campaign, Wyclef did flew in, and I remember the both of them. That was like around the time after waiting for the result. Wyclef was here in Haiti supporting him, and Martelly allowed that to happen. And Martelly was like, I'm also going to assume that Martelly was pretty paranoid during his presidency. I'm going to say that because I remember during the carnival, and it was the people from the Bookman Experience. Bookman Experience is a Haitian band. They are my favorite, by the way. And I remember Manzé saying to him, looking at him deeper. Martelly was in one of the stands, and Manzé was saying to him, we love you. We, talking about her and her husband, we love you. So I'm going to assume that he had so many people that he couldn't trust, that he probably started to have a lot of anxiety. That he probably started to have a lot of anxiety, a lot of things like, okay, you know what, now, I don't know who to trust. To conclude, because we are already at 33 minutes into this video, to conclude, I am going to say that, if I have to go into his presidency, even when he left, he wrote a book, and he wanted to become a speaker. He went to Florida. That didn't really take well for him, and I'm going to assume that the Clintons counseled him, because you guys know that that's how they made their money. To hire Hillary as a speaker, it takes money that you can't even think about it. This is usually how people do it when you become an expert. Times they write books, they become a speaker. However, that did not really take so much for Michel Martelly. I did say that I not only wanted to get his book, but I also wrote a lot of books, and I really want to kind of read them and just skim through them, read them a little bit, and compare them. So whenever I get to doing these readings, I will bring it to my channel and kind of do a book reviews for you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think. Please submit your comments. I truly appreciate you. Do not forget that I run Consultation. For those of you who are interested into the market in Haiti, whether it is that you want to run a project or whether it is that you want to run a business in Haiti, please go into the description box below, and all the information pertaining to that will be there. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next.